Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Sue, and it's time for another Curiosity Club. You know, the one thing I've noticed in the last couple days, especially when I'm on my walks, is the changing earth. I'm noticing leaves dropping, leaves turning color. I'm noticing pine cones on the ground. All kinds of stuff. My garden, unfortunately, my plants are starting to die. But it's still the one thing that really impresses me are the colors of fall. And we've been trying to do some experiments for fall. And I thought I've wanted to do a density experiment with you for a long time. And I thought, well, let's try to do it and create something with different colors. If you notice a candy corn at Halloween, they have 3 different colors. They have the white, they have the orange, and they have the yellow. And those are supposed to represent some fall colors. And if I notice when I go to the grocery store, the Indian corn that's starting to appear, and it's just the dried corn, and it's got all the different colors on it. Those are fall colors. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do a density experiment, I'll try to do it at least with some fall colors. So that's what we're going to do today. What you need to do my density experiment, which shows if things are heavier than something else. That's what it means to be dense. Something that's really, really dense is heavy. And something that's very light in density is very, very light. So I want to show this concept to you with a really quick, easy experiment. So for today, what you're going to need, of course, as we always do, I have these all around my house now because I use them for all my experiments, is just a clean jar. The other thing you need for this experiment is molasses. You also need, and I'm hoping that it works, and I think it will, some light corn syrup. This is just water that I put food coloring in. And of course, oil. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jar and I'm going to try to put these things in my jar. But instead of, if you pour something in right away, it just mixes everything all up. Versus, you want in your jar to have different layers of liquid. So I'm looking at all of my ingredients and I'm deciding that my molasses is probably my heaviest ingredient. So I'm going to put that on the bottom as my layer. Now there's a trick to doing this experiment so that it works. You want to tilt your jar as you pour your liquid in. So I'm going to pour in, now the experiment says a 1/4 cup. It doesn't have to be a 1/4 cup, just something so that we can see the layers. Okay, so there is my 1/4 cup of molasses. Probably the next dense thing that I have is my light corn syrup. So I'm going to very carefully, keeping it tilted, I'm going to put a layer of my light corn syrup. There we go. I can already see it dividing. Okay? The next thing I've decided to put in to show color is my water mixed with the red food coloring. So keeping my jar tilted, I'm going to very slowly add my water. And the last layer I'm going to use is going to be my olive oil. Okay, so what I'm going to do is doing the same concept, very slowly and tilted. I'm going to put my olive oil. Now, once you have all these things, and you can see how they're already dividing, you're just going to slowly turn it. And you can see the different layers. Can't see the light corn syrup as much because it might be almost the same density as the molasses, but you can see how there are different layers. We've got a light layer, a dark layer, and in between there, if you really look, we've got a red layer. Kind of like a dark candy corn. Sometimes you can find those candy corns with the orange and the brown and that. And so there you have it. Density. The molasses is going to be heavier than the oil, than the water, and somewhere in there is my light corn syrup. But that's an example of density. And I thought we'd just use some of our fall colors because that's what we're talking about this month, our fall experiments. So there you have it. That's how density works. Now, if two things are this almost the same consistency, they're both really not that heavy or not that light, especially light, you should be able to mix them easy. That's why when I have coffee in the morning and I pour my creamer in, even if I didn't stir it, it would start to mix all together because I'm talking about two very light substances. But if they're heavier, they're going to be layered a little bit more. So there you have it. That's my experiment for this week. I hope you are safe at home. And remember that it doesn't take much for a smile, doesn't take much for a wave. It doesn't take much to pick up something off the ground that's not supposed to be there. Because whatever you do, boys and girls, you can be kind. All right, you have a great day, and I'll see you next week at Miss Sue's Curiosity Club.